Welcome to week 2 of our message series, Sanctify. And I want to start off today by talking a little bit about myself as a kid. When I was young, I went through a stage where I wanted to be a teacher, and then I wanted to be a doctor. But when I was really young, before I could refine those dreams, I'm talking like 2.5 or 3 years old, when you're just starting to talk, when I was that young, I really wanted to be a fire truck. Not the firefighter. I wanted to be the truck. The firefighter came later. My poor parents, this is what they were working with. Kids always have big dreams when it comes to their futures. Nothing seems quite out of their reach. Anything from being an astronaut to a singer to the prime minister. To kids, they can do everything. And you'd be surprised at just how detailed their planning can be at such a young age. Of course, as we grow up, our dreams become more fine-tuned and realistic. Many of you who are thinking about college degrees and career options may be realizing this right now. I think that where these great plans stem from, at least is in part, to our love of comfort. We're creatures who love creature comforts. And one of the deepest comforts is a sense of purpose and direction. We like to know where our life is headed. Even people who enjoy being spontaneous still tend to appreciate when their life has a certain trajectory. Without a sense of purpose, we can feel lost. We even endow purpose on other people. I mean, think about it. What parent, upon finding out they're going to have a baby, doesn't imagine what the child is going to be like, what they're going to look like, what kind of personality they're going to have, and what's in store for their future? We just do that instinctively. One such child is spoken about in today's readings, St. John the Baptist. Now, the circumstances surrounding his conception and birth were nothing short of miraculous. We read that Elizabeth, John the Baptist's mother, had been barren, and both she and her husband Zachariah were getting up there in age. Then this angel appears and says, "Do not be afraid, Zachariah, for your prayer has been heard. Your wife Elizabeth will bear you a son, and you will name him John. Many will rejoice at his birth, for he will be great in the sight of the Lord." God went out of his way to show he had very specific and special plans for John. Wonder and anticipation surround his birth, and other miraculous events too, like the healing of Zachariah's muteness, confirmed God's part in all of this. We read, "Zachariah's mouth was open and his tongue freed, and he began to speak, praising God. Fear came over all their neighbors, and all these things were talked about throughout the entire hill country of Judea. All who heard them pondered them and said, 'What then will this child become?' For indeed the hand of the Lord was with him." The hand of the Lord was with him. We know that St. John the Baptist went on to become a very towering figure in the Gospels, the final prophet, heralding the imminent arrival of the Messiah. And he's indeed the one who baptized Jesus in the River Jordan. And God had these great plans for him, even as he was in the womb. The same is true for us here today. Even when you were in the womb, God had already cooked up some incredible plans for you and has an incredible purpose for you. So many people fail to realize that. We end up losing our sense of direction and purpose, and we wind up feeling lost, which is not hard to do in such a loud and chaotic world. The world lies to us and tries to convince us that we were made for mediocrity or for self-serving pleasure, but that's just not true. Your true purpose is that you were made to accomplish God's dream for you. And what is God's dream for you? That you would be holy, that you would be set apart. We hear the Old Testament prophet Jeremiah speak about this. He says, the word of the Lord came to me, saying, "Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you, and before you were born, I consecrated you. I appointed you as a prophet to the nations." See, God already had great plans for Jeremiah. He consecrated and blessed that calling and all its work before it had even begun. And most importantly, God says he knew Jeremiah. That's pretty intimate. He knew Jeremiah and made the plan based on that. He created Jeremiah to be able to fulfill this mission, to be a prophet to the nations. However, even after this knowledge, God needed to convince Jeremiah that he wasn't just pulling his leg. And so we hear this: "Ah, Lord God, truly I do not know how to speak, for I am only a boy. But the Lord said to me, 'Do not say, I am only a boy, for you shall go to all to whom I send you, and you shall speak whatever I command you.'" That almost sounds a little harsh. Jeremiah starts to express his concern that maybe he's just not quite cut out for this. And God essentially says to him, "No excuses. Just follow my lead." Friends, I think we do that a lot too, don't we? We mask our fear with worries and concerns with little excuses, don't we? We might say things like, "I can't tell my coworker about my faith. They might get offended." Or, "It would be a bad idea to start this Bible study that I think God is calling me to lead because I'm not the best speaker or the most organized person." Or, "I don't want to talk to my kid about that one habitual sin that they just keep getting into. What if they start to hate me for calling them out on it?" Time for some tough love, God style. Excuses are just that. They're excuses. A reason we cling on to not do the hard thing. But here's where every excuse under the sun fails to hold water. God made you to be holy wherever you are. God made you to be holy wherever you are. Do you think God made you by accident? Do you think that the dreams you have, your interests, your goals, and inspirations just came out of nowhere? Do you think that you're just a random coincidence? Because none of that is true. God knit you together. God's divine love for you and his purpose for you literally holds together every fiber of who you are. God's blessings are constantly being poured out on you in the hope that one day you'll wake up and realize that you were made to break chains and ascend to greatness with God. And you're not going there because you're worried about whether it might offend someone or what words you'll say or whether everything will turn out just right. And that's okay. That's natural. It's perfectly normal to feel that way. It's just not okay to let that worry and fear keep you from moving forward. It's okay and good to be where you're at, but God doesn't just want you to stay there either. By stepping forward in faith, you are stepping one step closer to fulfilling God's purpose for you in your life, because his purpose is that you would try to be holy and do the best, the purest, the most amazing and godly thing you can do in a moment. God's plan for you is for you to become holy in this moment, and then in the next, and then in the next, and in the next. And that cannot happen if you're never willing to take a risk. What is your dream? What are you trying to do or trying to be these days? Because whatever it is, I promise you, you are meant to be holy there. You don't need to be a priest or a nun to be holy either. We absolutely need holy doctors and holy businessmen and holy teachers, holy firefighters, holy moms and dads. God has ordained you to be where you are and to have the inspirations that you have so that you can bring Jesus to your workplace, to your patients, to your friends, to the next innovative business idea, and most importantly, bringing Jesus to your homes. What is it for you? What is your specific brand or flavor of holiness? What does God want to accomplish through you? It's worth asking God and giving a lot of thought to it in prayer, because the answers to these questions are also the answers of why you're here and why you are the way you are. So my challenge for you this week is a simple one. Just ask. Ask God those questions. Ask him things like, what are you trying to accomplish through me? And how are you calling me to be holy? Just have that heart-to-heart with him. Just ask him those questions. And trust me, he has the answer. He has always had the answer. Because from the beginning of your life and from the beginning of time, God had a plan for you to be holy. And that starts right now. May God bless you all.